there. Then we got a little halftime, and then finish up the last 6 games of the season. So excited to see how our guys rebound from last week. Obviously, still as a coach, not happy about last weekend, and I can't wait to watch our guys go play and see what they've got.
Pat, a couple of your players talked about how they saw more from Keaton this week in practice. He seemed more intense or more driven. Would you agree with that?
Not really. Kind of the same Keaton I see every day, to be honest with you. I didn't see anything, no. But kids see different stuff. Who knows?
How do you... As a play caller and from a quarterback's perspective, you want to get the ball out quickly, but sometimes that leads to 5-yard gains. But if you sit back in a pocket, you can throw deeper, but you could also get sacked more often. What's the fine line you got to walk there?
You got to do a little bit of both. For deeper balls, you got max protection. You got more guys staying in to protect normally, and then for a short game, you can go empty and get the ball out quick if you want to. But you got to protect them. We got 5 to protect. So, there's a fine line. That's why you don't all do the same thing. You can't just do the same thing every snap. You can't just go 3-step. Everybody will just sit on your routes, and you can't just, drop back and try to max protect and chuck it deep all the time. So that's why people go to RPOs, which is kind of like the new 3-step.
The key is for the quarterback to process the secondary, what's happening in the secondary quickly. Kenny was really good at that.
Yeah, Kenny was really good. I think Keaton's really good too. So just, we'll find out.
And what's the challenge in defending that? Because it looks like Virginia Tech does like to get the ball out quickly.
Virginia Tech gets the ball out really quick, which can be, good for us, good for them. A little bit of both. You hope, you're not going to get as many sacks. I think they've given up maybe 9 in the year, 6 or 9, somewhere between 6 and 9. They haven't given up many sacks or pressures, but they're getting the ball out, and he takes off and runs as well. So, you got to play ball. Doesn't matter what they do. Everybody does a little bit of everything. You're not going to just see one thing, but they do get the ball out quick.
To build off of Jerry's question a little bit, you've talked about taking what the defense gives you. How do you kind of balance that with also trying to be the aggressor and kind of maybe forcing the little balls down the field?
You can force them, but force is a bad word. Right?
Yeah. I guess that was a bad question there.
It's a bad. That's usually oh man, he forced it.
Not
in there.
forced, but kind of like.
You can be the aggressor, but again, that gets you in trouble too, because it's like you're forcing into something that's not there. So, I think that's you're playing fire a little bit there, personally.
Pat, you've often talked about when the defense struggles, it's guys not trusting each other and trying to do too much and stepping outside of their roles. Where do you feel this defense?
Illinois sweatshirt from out here.
What is that?
Oh, it's
Illmatic.
It's Illinois college.
No.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I really let my nods out.
I thought you were coming in with an Illinois sweatshirt. Where'd that come from?
No, that would be. Yeah. But anyways, what I was getting to was oftentimes you talk about how guys will step out of their roles trying to help in situations that they shouldn't be helping in. Where do you feel your defense is when it comes to that challenge and avoiding that, especially against a quick team?
I think more of that stuff happened on our special teams last week, where our guys are trying their tails off to go make a play. But on defense, I think when I look at it, we've been probably pretty good with trying to do our jobs. I'll go back to the last run of the game, and I know someone asked me earlier in the week about one of these runs. I don't know if it's Jerry. I'm like, I don't know which one. The one that really sticks with me when they lined up in 12 personnel and they ran the ball, and it should have never got to the safety. And again, I'm not throwing anybody on the bus, but one of our linebackers, all he had to do was read his key like he does all the time. And it's like, why in that one play did you go the wrong way? All you gotta do is go the wrong play. One guy doesn't go the right way, you got problems. That's the one really stands out to me. And then there's just little details where they're doing the right thing, but they're not doing it great. Like Bengali had a tackle, missed tackle on their sideline, but he's running with this guy. He knows who he's got, and then he's like, let me peek back at the quarterback. Those little tiny details will get you beat. But it's not like, it's, everybody wants to go look at the quarterback, right? Let me see if he's going to throw it this way or not. It's like, as soon as you do that, you're done. And then that's why you miss the tackle, because you're a step late. You're usually not a step late if you just don't delay that much. So
we talked to Gavin and Jared this week, and they talked about a hyper focus on those same details. You talked about the defense, but also on the offensive side, did you feel that there was more of an intense focus on those details this week?
I think so. I mean, but we focus on them every week.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes it's mindsets. I don't know. We don't change how we coach weekly and all of a sudden, let's not turn the ball over this week. Let's focus on ball security. No, we talk ball security every single day, and work on it. So I mean, from ball security to pass protection to reading your keys, we do it every day. There's no focus. There's no days where we go, let's not focus on that today. Let's just let it go. So maybe it was more focus for them. They felt like there was more of a focus. Well, there should be. We preach it, but you gotta do it too.
You were
We gotta do a
down.
better job as coaching it.
You were down to running backs in the second half last week. How comfortable are you going in this week if it has to be Vince and Zebo?
I'm comfortable unless it goes down to one. Then I'm not so comfortable. We got Daniel Carter over there too, so that's kind of the 2022 season so far for us at least. His injuries and stepping up. We've had that the entire year, and we're continuing to battle that.
What has the response been in practice this week? Has the team seemed any hungrier than they were?
I think so. I mean, I thought they were hungry last week though, Amanda. So I mean, it'd be a mind reader, but no, I think they've had great energy this week. Period. So they're ready to go. But you got to go out and take it too. It's like I told them after practice today. No one's going to give you a game. We went through some battles last year too, didn't we? We didn't, like, every game wasn't 50. We had Kenny Pickett, and we didn't win every game 52-7. I mean, nobody's going to give you a game. These are all hard games. You're not going to, like, for anybody to think that you're going to walk in and beat a Georgia Tech or a Virginia Tech just because you showed up in Acrisure Stadium, you're crazy. That ain't going to happen. And you can never think that. I know. I worry about everybody.
Gavin used the term yesterday, ticked off. Did you
Oh,
know-
good. I didn't say I don't hear all this.
Did
Jay
you-
doesn't tell me anything.
Did you
You
notice?
get all kinds of. You guys must have got some good interviews this week.
Wasn't bad.
I didn't notice any more ticked off than normal. So
They were
they're
ticked off the
talking
week
about it.
before too.
They were.
I'm asking, they were
I don't have no.
in yours.
The kids are different than the coaches. I mean, let's face it. Like I didn't see them more ticked off this week than they were last week or the week before. So
Were you more ticked off?
yes,
What does
I
that mean?
guarantee you that.
What does that mean when you're more ticked off?
What does it mean?
What
I'm
happens?
a little grumpier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat.
Grumpier too.
Gavin and Jared talked about starting fast this week. That was a big focus for them. How can they do that, and what kind of prevented them from doing that over the past couple weeks of the season?
My number one key to victory last week, every week I got 4 or 5 keys to victory. The number one was start fast. Okay, I must be a dummy, okay? I could pull it out, I could have RJ go get it. And honest to God, it was start fast and be plus in the turnover ratio, okay? We didn't do either one of them. So we can start fast we're supposed to start fast, right? I mean, we can talk about it, we gotta go do it. And, we can tell them what to do, we gotta go execute, we gotta make plays, and we gotta play football. That's what it comes down to, But I don't answer your question. Go ahead.
Oh no, just is there anything that you guys can do differently to make that possible?
No, you gotta go execute. I mean, that's what we do every day is practice to execute those plays properly. And we gotta, again, there's 2 plays I showed the team last week, okay? 2 plays I showed the team. Just, we watch it all offense, we watch the defense. I just stuck the first 2 plays up from the game on offense and defense. First play on defense was an opportunity to play perfect. Everybody is perfect, okay? And, we got an interception for a touchdown. That's starting fast, right? Okay, that's how you start fast. You interception for a touchdown. It's probably a totally different outcome. And then the first play on offense, Keaton gets hit. There's a guy free through the line of scrimmage because we have a lineman that goes the wrong way, and he can't see him because there are 2 big white jerseys in his way, and he can't see. There's a guy wide open where Jeff is there, and we can't find him. And then we drop the next play, we drop a pass. So that's not starting fast. I don't know what else we can do except give them opportunities to get open, opportunities to make plays on the ball, and then they got to go finish. And we will, But starting fast is critical, and making plays is critical. We can start slow, just make plays slowly.
And on the offensive side of the ball, you guys talked a lot about, again, taking what the defense gives you. But do you script plays at all to start games?
On offense, you said?
Yeah, and help get you into that rhythm earlier.
Yeah, you do. Most offenses do. I'm not going to get into what we do, how we do it, but I mean, when you got a guy wide open back there, we script plays we think what we're going to get, but you're not always right. We know what our first play of the game is. We know what we're going to do on defensively. We script a lot of different things.
Pat, you guys have a lot of guys that you would qualify as this equal category with leaders that you've been around. But are there like one or two guys, like in the past you've had DeMar, you've had Kenny, you've had those guys that everyone can kind of rally behind. Are there guys that you look to and say like, hey, this is the guy that gets everyone going?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because you're always looking at who are your leaders, who are your coaches. Why are you laughing over here?
I was saying good question.
Did you say good
Does he always have good
question?
questions?
That's good questions.
There's always guys, we're looking for those. I mean, I think Servassier Dennis is one of them. I think Keaton Slovis is growing with that, just even in we have an Eagles meeting every Friday morning in here, where you guys are privileged enough to come in. We have an Eagles meeting. I asked him a bunch of tough questions in there. And Keaton brought up some great points. I was like, it's just, but if I think they're great points, I know everybody else in that room is going, And then you got young guys that are freshmen that are learning from those guys. But I would say Keaton, Carter Warren, Sid Sebastier. Those are the guys that stand out right now that's just stepping up. But we need more of that too. I mean, you missed Kenny Pickett was he's a leader now. I mean, he's nobody says anything at halftime. It's me, and I'm waiting for someone to step up. We'll find out. But that was nice when Kenny would say, "Hey, let's go."
To follow on Chris's thing, that's what I was going to ask. Are these leaders that you mentioned, are they vocal or is it by just example right now and you're looking for more vocal?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
What were some of those good points that Keaton brought up?
Can't tell you. God, it's an Eagles meeting.
I don't think it's a big
You
secret,
know-
is it?
You don't know what it
It's
is.
gonna affect the outcome of the
Maybe they were
game.
talking about you, Jared. Maybe we, I don't
I
know.
thought it might be, I hope you would tell me that.
One of the things we were discussing is starting fast. To your question, it was interesting. But and I'm trying to think what the other one was. The other one I can't really talk about. So
So speaking of Kenny Pickett, I wanted to ask you about, he's about to make his first NFL start. Long odds, actually the greatest odds in the Super Bowl era for the Steelers. Similarly, his first college start was a pretty big upset as well. What do you remember about that first college start and just Kenny's demeanor leading up to it?
yeah, Kenny's very composed, I think, but intense at the same time. I had a chance. My kids DVR'd the game the other day, just go back and watching how he. He's not fazed by anything. I mean, he got whacked that one play where he threw it over the middle. I mean, he got, and I asked him, I said, what'd you say to me? Because he just kind of laughed. He goes, I don't remember. You always wish you remembered. But that's Kenny. He's not going to be fazed by, I don't think anything's going to get in his head about, what's going on this weekend. And we wish them and the Steelers, luck up there in Buffalo. We have open week next week. So Sunday, I get to watch that game on fire.
How about just,
I had a couple more. I had two questions about Kenny.
Sure.
When
This is Kenny Conference.
what did you see in him when he was in high school that made you want to recruit him?
Someone asked me that question yesterday, I think, or somewhere. We love all of our players, right? And sometimes we get lucky, and sometimes we're not so smart as coaches and recruiters and evaluators. But we loved the way he competed in games. He ran that team. He was a leader, and he obviously had a great arm. And then he developed through his years here. But you didn't see anything. I can't say we're like we loved him more than we liked Nick Patty or anybody else, or I'd be lying to you. But he developed, and again, his character and who he is as a person really stands out to me.
And obviously, I know there were extenuating circumstances that led to him playing as a true freshman with injuries and stuff. But what did he show you over the course of that year that led you to say you get the start against the #2 team in the country?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back years and years, and we lost our quarterback, Max Brown, at Syracuse, and I remember him, with a dislocated shoulder out there, and I went over, I leaned over him like this, and I'm like, and I looked down, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's out, okay, and like I do for every kid, and I'm like, I said, Kenny, right then I said, Kenny's got to play. I mean, you're automatically going to decision-making mode. He's got to play. And because I didn't feel comfortable with who the #2 was at the time. I didn't remember who he was. And no disrespect to him, but I was like, Kenny's our best quarterback. He's been running scout team, kind of like Nate Yarnell was. But I saw, Kenny Pickett compete on the scout field like I've seen Nate Yarnell. He's kind of like, Nate's a gamer. You watch him in practice, and he does some things, and you're like, what are you doing? But then when you put him on the scout field, he plays ball. That's what Kenny was. He was a competitor. You know, he took hits, he got back up, he talked crap, he just, you know, he didn't let the defense, you know, oh, I'm in the scout team, you know, defense is gonna kill me today. He went down there and made plays, and that's who he is. So I knew I had to play, so we gradually got him ready because he was reading scout cards, and I could have thrown him out there. Kenny's still mad that I didn't, the first game, just start him, which I think I could have wrote him, but maybe that's the same thing Coach Tomlin didn't want to throw him out there early, just wanted to let him earn it and take his time. I don't know what the decision-making is, but, you know, so I just didn't want to throw him out there in the first game back and, you know, after Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday practice and say, here you go. So we gradually did it. I think he had the second half at Virginia Tech, if I recall, and then went from Virginia Tech to the Miami game, and the rest is history, I guess. So sorry for the long answer.
No.
Pat, you know, you were talking about the pass that, you know, from you to Jeff with Keaton to start the game and the open guy being there. You've been known for a guy that believes in your kids, like when Chris Blewett missed the field goals at Clemson and you kept him believing. How do you balance putting belief in the kid, but also saying, like, sometimes we got to go with what's going to get the job done in that situation? Because you could say, hey, let's just run the ball more, but you want to balance with believing in your guys.
I mean, it's a long game, and you better believe in your guys, and you see it every day in practice. And it was a great example of maybe didn't start you know, like you want him to. And again, is it his fault or is it everybody else's fault as well? I mean, to me, it's 11 guys out there. It's never one guy. And we know the quarterback is going to get criticized when things don't go well, and he's going to get more credit than he deserves when things go well for the team. So he'll usually be the guy in the press conference, win or lose, unfortunately. You know, we know who he is, we know what he can do, and you're not gonna make every pass. Just like Kenny's not gonna go out there and be perfect, neither is you know, Kenny Pickett or Nick Patton or anybody else is gonna go play. You just gotta stay with them. And the worst thing you do is, you know, just dump a guy and put him on the bench.
And how
Final questions?
How did Vince respond this week in practice?
Outstanding. Again, like I know Vince does, like, you know, even today, we were going to a period, he had a ball in his hand, I came from behind trying to punch it out, and he goes, come on, coach, that was last week, like, I got this, you know, and I didn't get anything out, so, but that's how he is. He's, you know, it's not like he's like, oh my gosh, nervous about, like, ball security. I've never, you know, if you guys remember a couple years ago, the guy played with a cast on his hand. Like, that's when I got nervous about it. I mean, that guy never dropped a ball with a cast on his hand, I mean, for 4 or 5 weeks. That guy's, you know, our starting tailback with a broken hand and never dropped a ball, carrying the ball with that. So, you know, got complete faith, and he's awesome.
And we saw Daniel Carter get some opportunities before at tailback. He said, you know, hey, I can play that position. We've seen him at belly. Is there opportunities for reps for him at tailback?
There is. I mean, Daniel's a physical runner. There's an option. We kind of talked about it. You know, he's got that F option. You know, that F position as well. But you know, we're not afraid to put him in there. You know, he's not going to be the guy. You know, there's a difference between when he's in there and when he's in there. But, you know, if there's a 5-yard hole, he's going to get 5 yards probably. Izzy, if there's a 5-yard hole, he might get a 55-yard or two. So he doesn't have that burst that, you know. So there's different guys, but he might run somebody over for another 3. You know, but he's going to get probably caught. So there's a difference. But we got a lot of confidence in him as well. It's just going to take us longer to get that end zone.
So Vince didn't carry his football to class this week?
I don't think so. I wouldn't make him do that.
That's a good one to end on.
Any season enders?
No. God. Are you praying for season-ending enders?
No.